Hello there and welcome back to my channel. So, what am I going to talk about this week? I was on one of my walks. I've started walking a lot more as of a couple of weeks ago. So, a lot more walking going on, which is good for the old. It's good for the old back and good for the old noggin. So, it's a no-brainer. And I haven't been listening to any music on these. I've just been letting my thoughts come out rather than listening to music, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad, because you get good thoughts and you can start to plan things, and then you get bad thoughts questioning your entire existence. It's one of those. And it was during one of the second ones, actually, the ones where I was questioning my existence, and I was trying to work out, once again, how I got to this point, to put it frankly. So, I mean, obviously, physically, it's been sciatica. That happened years ago. I did my back in, and then when I was working at Timberjacks, I did my back a second time. So physically, that's why I am in this position. But I was going through my mind as to how I got here mentally, and I was reflecting a lot on my school years, because I do walk past. Well, it's not Summerhill School anymore. It's the new Summerhill School. The school that I went to isn't there anymore. It was demolished, and the new school built on its ruins, sort of thing. So the buildings that I was familiar with just don't exist anymore. But I still have a lot of very, very wild and vivid memories of secondary school. And I may have talked about this before, but this may be coming at it from a different angle. I'm still friends with some of my school friends. There's certain ones that I can message and I can just talk to, and there's other ones that I've seen in recent years, and we've had a nice chat and conversations. Some have turned out not to be who I thought they were. It's one of those things, I guess. Perceptions change and people change. It's just the nature of the life, I guess. But yeah, I was contemplating, and I was thinking about my classes and stuff, and how it ties into. I got my actual autism diagnosis about 2 years ago now, maybe just over. So while I was working at Timberjacks, I'd actually been for the appointment finally and got my diagnosis, and says, yes, you're autistic. And I was like, okay, that answers a lot of questions. And I thought about how I was in secondary school a lot. And I thought about how much I tried and how much I didn't get out of it, out of the experience. So, like, when we first got there, I made sure that I had absolutely everything that I needed. My mum and dad made sure I had absolutely everything I needed, and everything was set. And it's like, and they, you look in your homework diary, and it told you, you should be setting aside this amount of time per night, blah 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 blah. And I tried to follow everything to the letter where I could, and I struggled. I did struggle. Because when you move from primary school to secondary school, they give you like a question thing, and they try and put you with people that you know. Didn't do that with me. Me and two others, we were just put into this class. We were aware of each other, but we hadn't spoken. We weren't friends or anything like that, So we were just rammed into this class together. It was a very much sink or swim situation. And I sank. I was permanently struggling and very, very lost. And I seem to remember my form teacher, Mrs. Wilkins, at the time. I was having to go to her for a lot of stuff. And I was really, really struggling, and she didn't really know how to help too much. and that was pretty bad. And that was in year seven, so that was the year I started. And eventually, I started to try and started to make friends. You know, I'm mixed with a couple of kids from another class. You know, when they put you in classes and what have you, you know, you mix into groups, and you know, we started hanging out and things in common and what have you. And that's good. I still speak to a couple of them now. It's you know, long time friendship kind of thing, which is good. I think, you know, as I say, people change, but you know, some friendships they endure. And you know, but as the school years went on, like I tried to do my best with like stuff like homework and those kind of things. You know, the school activities that they demand of you, which is fair to some degree. Now, homework, my personal opinion here, I think it should be abolished. You know, it's trying to get kids into the idea of a working mind and working past hours and you know and continue learning beyond. As far as I'm concerned, that kind of thing, any learning that the kids should do should be done in classes at the time. You're only young once. You only have that reservoir of energy and vitality once, and that's when you're that age, when you're young. You want to be going out, you want to be playing football, you want to be enjoying yourself. You know, you know, your physical well-being at that point should be, you should be enjoying your life, because they say that youth is wasted on the youthful. But, you know, and when it says in your homework diary you're supposed to do 4 hours worth of homework a night, it's like, really? You're taking youth away from kids. And I did try. In my first couple of years at school, I did actually try and spend that amount of time. Now, obviously, I know with the autism and potentially ADHD, I couldn't focus. I just couldn't do it. You know, all my homework I kind of scraped by on. But I wasn't given any kind of help, really. It ought to have been, you know, it ought to have been pulled up that I was, you know, at such a low level because I couldn't put the effort in. But because I was handing something in, getting bare minimum grades for it, they just assumed everything was okay, and it's like, no. And as it went on, I got more and more rebellious and didn't put the effort in. It was very rare I'd put any effort in. I was forever banging on the staff room door on a break, apologizing to a teacher saying, I haven't done this, apologies, or trying to rush it at break time or lunchtime in the library, trying to finish homework off or whatever, because I had to. But it just felt like, I don't know, I felt like I needed a bit of a hand, and I know it's understood more about mental health and things like autism and what have you, and you know, the help is a bit more prevalent, I hope. I mean, I've got nobody in school at the moment that I know about, so you know, as I imagine, I think the help is there. Is the general impression that I get. I may be wrong, but that's the impression that I've got, is that everything's a bit more understood and the help is there. But back in the day, it wasn't. And I'll always rue that. And I remember I only ever had one detention, personal, and that's because somebody we were in art and somebody threw a pot of water over me. And rather than putting him into detention for throwing a pot of water over me, she put us both in detention. And I got really upset because I'm not going to go deep into my psyche here and explain about all my past, but I had a lot of fear growing up of doing things wrong, and being put in detention was obviously punishment for doing something wrong, and in that case I hadn't done anything and I got really upset over it. And then we had a class detention. I can't remember. I think it must have been year 7. Must have been the first year. And I got really upset because if Dad had found out about it, I was worried about what the repercussions were going to be. And so people just suddenly get upset. But it was like people didn't understand the way I'd been raised and the potential damage that chucking everybody into a class detention could cause. Because I know I don't also believe in punishing a group for one person's misdirection. I don't think that's a put off at all, because that one person doesn't give a toss. They just want to muck about. It's not a deterrent knowing that the whole class will be punished for it. Oh yeah, the whole class will hate them, and they don't care. So I think that's a stupid deterrent. Even growing up, like in office jobs and what have you, they'd go, oh yeah, this entire team, you're not going to get this because this person's got bad stats. And it's like, why not? Why not just isolate that person and find out if there's a reason for it, rather than just giving a blanket punishment? I've never understood blanket punishments. Just don't get it. Unless the entire group has messed up, and that's completely provable, then you should just isolate individuals and investigate that. Be that as it may, so I didn't have the best school life with that either. As I say, as the years went on, I got more and more rebellious, and my grades slipped even further. And like I say, I was putting in effort in years 7, 8, probably 9. I was still putting effort in, but by 10 and 11, it had gone. I wasn't interested anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I got no direction. I wasn't getting any help. And I think having teachers push down on me because they thought I was misbehaving, but I wasn't. Well, I might have been, but it's not because I was naughty. It's just because I wasn't getting the help I needed. And no matter how much I tried to say I need help with this, nobody seemed to listen. Nobody seemed to believe me. No one seemed to care. So I just had to press on. And basically, I spent my entire school life for the most part, in survival mode. Always worried about this bit of homework that I hadn't done, or worried that I'd missed this, or worried that I hadn't done that. And even in those rebellious years, 10 and 11, I was still worried about not doing the homework while simultaneously not having the concentration to be able to do it. It was tough. And yeah, I spent the entire time pretty much in panic mode, because the teachers would warn you and say, oh well, you're not going to do well in your exams, and you're not going to learn this and you're not going to do that, and it built up a real sense of panic in me. But rather than encouraging my brain to settle down and knuckle down, it just sent it into full-on scramble mode. And instead I tried anything I could to take my mind off it, because whenever I thought about schoolwork I was panicking. That's a realisation I've literally just come to. Wow. But yeah, it wasn't good. My school years weren't good, and they were good. There were good times. I'm not going to lie. As I say, I made friends. I realised a few of my strengths while I was in school. But generally speaking, it wasn't a good time. Very misunderstood. I was very misunderstood by the teachers. Obviously, knowing what I know now, I get it. But back then, I just thought I was weird. I was told I was weird, so I just assumed I was weird. And the teachers kept telling me, you need to be doing this, this, this. And I just felt even weirder for not having the concentration, not being able to do what the teachers were expecting of me. It just made me feel even weirder. I still remember a PE. I was excused from PE. Here we go. Here's 2 quick stories. Number 1, I sprained my wrist, my right wrist. I was tripped while running and I fell down some stairs, landed on my wrist, and it just bent it back. and had it wrapped up in a, not plaster, but it had like a bandage on it for a couple of weeks. So I couldn't move it, couldn't write with it or anything. And they'd given me this prehistoric laptop to take notes in for my classes, and I could just print off the notes and stick them in my books afterwards. And I went into a maths class, and sod's law, we were doing stuff like trigonometry, triangles, and I needed to be able to draw. And I said to the teacher, where can I plug my laptop in? And she said, well, you can't, that's not going to be any good here. And I was like, And rather than let me catch up at a later date or try and type things on my laptop so I could understand, and I could, I could easily type notes into my laptop, and then once my hand was better, I could have added the drawings afterwards. Instead, she insisted that I try and use my left hand, and it just came out as I can still picture the blue ink in my maths book. It was almost like felt tip ink, because I hadn't bought any pens because I couldn't use one. So why would I bring a pen? So I borrowed a pen off somebody, and I can still see the backwards S when I was trying to write isosceles, and it was a mess. So I still remember the teacher's name. Not going to repeat it here, but so thanks for helping with that. That really made me feel undervalued and unseen. And then another one was years later. I'd been excused for PE for whatever reason, forgotten my note. Though, because with PE, I liked PE, but I'd done something to my knee, my right knee, or my leg just above my knee. I can't, like a muscle pull or something, and it had come and go, but it wasn't clever to be running about too much. And this one PE lesson where I'd had me note, I think I'd actually got a note for this one, but a teacher had pulled me and a few others who'd got notes aside and said to us, well, you look well enough, why aren't you doing PE? And I'm like, I've got this note. And she said, I saw you sprinting through the bushes at the front of the school earlier. Don't tell me you can't do PE. I'm like, okay. Obviously I couldn't talk back to her, but how do you sprint through bushes, for one? It makes no sense. She's right, she did see me in those bushes, but I wasn't sprinting through them, because you can't sprint through bushes. And even if the bushes weren't there, I couldn't sprint anyway. So she didn't see that, so she made that up just to get me in the throat. And I've still got that leg damage to this day. I still have it. So I started doing PE again after that, despite the damage. The teachers didn't accept my parents' notes anymore because they didn't believe it. But I've still got that damage to this day. I still don't know what it is. I haven't had it checked out. It comes, and it still comes, and it still goes. It's a periodic kind of thing. I'm at the end of my walk today, kind of twinged, and I felt it. And I'm like, oh no, here we go again. It's like a tightness, but it hurts. I don't know what I've actually done. I assume it's some kind of injury from PE or something at school, but I don't actually know what it is. It sucks. And I used to run every morning, and it'd come and go. Some days it'd be all right, some days it wouldn't. But that really knocked me. That I had actually done damage, and a teacher just said, "Well, you look all right to me." And I'm like, and then, like I said, point blank lied to my face about seeing me doing something that I obviously wasn't capable of doing. I'm like, and I just felt utterly crushed by the whole school, and by the end of it, my German teacher put me in the higher class because he thought I was capable. And I'm like, dude, have you seen my work? Have you seen what I'm doing? I'm struggling like nobody's business. And as a result, I got a U in German. He absolutely bombed me because I wasn't capable. But he didn't seem to understand that. And he obviously didn't read me very well. Which I guess, you've got thousands of kids in that school, but he built me up and he was wrong. And that's really sad. And that was the impression. Like every lesson, I went in just praying that no teacher would pick on me to answer a question, because I always felt stupid. I didn't want my work read out or anything. I dreaded it, giving homework in, because I'd expect to be marched to the front of the class and made an example of. I remember Mr. Hasdell doing that a couple of times with the English homework, and he always said handing in something is better than nothing. So I handed him in something. I can't remember what it was supposed to be, but I handed him basically a paragraph, and it was pathetic, and I knew it was pathetic. But rather than asking why I'd only written this paragraph, he decided to humiliate me in front of the class, which just pushed me down even further. So, named a teacher then, probably shouldn't have. Oh well. If it means anything, if you do see this, Mr. Hasdell, which I doubt you will, but he was actually one of the best teachers that I had. He was a really good English teacher. As long as you were on the right side of him, which is the same as any teacher, he was actually really, really good. So yeah, I knew I'd let him down, and I was kind of hoping that he'd understand on that one that there was a problem, as opposed to I just hadn't been asked. But it wasn't to be, and he just. So yeah, I'll say by the time I'd hit year 10 and year 11, that kind of time, like my will had gone. I think with that paragraph, now that I think about it, I think that paragraph one, I'm not sure if I hadn't just misunderstood what we were supposed to do or something like that. Whatever. It wasn't a good showing. And yeah, it was wrong. But yeah, it could have been handled better. Because generally speaking, with English, I actually got quite a good. English was a C. I think I don't know if it was a language or literature, but I actually got a C. I think I only got 2 C's, and one of them was English. And English was one of those subjects that I actually cared about, because I actually quite like reading. But yeah, that one stung. But that's the thing. When you get into survival mode, you just do what you can with what you've got. And like I said, in those cases with stuff like homework, you do them in your break or whatever, and you don't want to be doing stuff at home. This has turned into a bit of a weird video. It's turned into a bit of a deeper look at my psyche than I thought. I was just going to mention the school thing and how it relates to how I am now. And I think the key is survival mode, basically. I'm permanently in it. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I am always worried about stuff. I'm always panicking about stuff. I don't let things go. I've got a lot of fear of failure. I've got a lot of fear of loss. The weird thing is I've got a fear of failure, but rather than doing something, I'll try and procrastinate instead. Like I'll try and take my mind off it. Like my mind will deliberately try and steer me away from the thing rather than doing it, which is what happened with the homework. And obviously as an adult I've got a little bit better at managing that, but that it's still there. It's always been there, and it's something I have to fight against, and it's tough. And it's not good when you're living in survival mode all the time, because it drains you. It drains your will to do anything, because you worry so much about things going wrong. It's like you want to plan a trip, but you worry about things going wrong on the trips and what have you. And what's going to happen when you get there, and you're going to run out of money, or you're going to have problems, or is the coach going to blow up or break down or something. I've had it happen, not blow up yet, but break down. We've had that. I've had coaches 3 or 4 times now. I've had coaches break down on me. Sometimes I wonder if I'm not flipping cursed. Every flight I've been on so far has been okay, so far. But yeah, I think it's good to have some kind of, you know, sense of not nervousness, but some sense of awareness of stuff that can go wrong. And in my mind, I start planning contingency plans for anything that can happen, and it puts my mind at rest a little bit. But I think I go overboard with it. Something I've been trying to correct. I've tried to put that to one side and trying to live in the moment more. Because some people I know, they actually just live completely in the moment, and it's incredible. I don't know how they do it. So, I guess the point being is, yeah, most of my life it's been in survival mode, and while I've learned things as I've got older about techniques, how to cope a bit better, it's still where I am now. I'm still in that point at school. I still don't know what I want to do with my life. I still haven't got any kind of direction. I'm literally just cruising through existence, and I think that is possibly um, not the direct reason for my way of thinking, but it's certainly a contributing factor for my mental state. And sometimes it's good to just get it out. So this video is going to be half an hour long. Bleeding heck, sorry. That wasn't the intention. I was supposed to go in the shower half an hour ago. I literally just done a workout before I started the video, which is why I look a mess. So I'm all sweaty and horrible. So shower time now. So yeah, I am going to post this now. I'm going to post this unfiltered. But yeah, I guess the point is you learn a lot from your past, and your past does have a big influence on you. It's just whether you're or not you can take those lessons and turn them into something positive, whether you can learn something from how you were treated and try and change things and try and up the ante. Can you pass the knowledge on to somebody else? Will you do somebody else some good? Who knows? It's tough out there though. Remains tough out there. And obviously these are just my rambling thoughts. So, any questions, queries, anything, drop a comment. And obviously if you've got any suggestions for me to do, anything you want me to talk about, it's all going to be my own opinion. I don't tend to worry about what other people say. So if you want my opinion on something, just drop me a comment, drop me a message on here or on Facebook, whatever. And I'll see what I can do. But yeah, here's a positive. I'm going in the shower. That's what I'm going to do. So with that, guys, thanks very much for joining me. I'm sorry it's been such a rambling one, but we got there in the end, didn't we? But yeah, take care of yourselves. Until I see you next, you have a good one.